But okay,
That's
the whole like school
that's
thing, I think that's between I
the point.
encourage you to do
Make
some.
my third point,
God, the Appuccino
Rob.
woman over here.
Let me make my third point, and then you can say whatever you want. I had mentioned in the past, which thank you, Mies, this sort of conspiracy with the how they were going to identify and track people. I can tell you the passport, they are forced in the recognized as a real ID. And my daughter, I'm being forced to get a North Carolina driver's license. My passport is no longer recognized as a real ID. And my daughter's telling me when I get that driver's license, they consider that a real ID. It's ridiculous. But what they issue is a North Carolina residence code. That is the wording they use. So not only do you have that driver's license, but you have a number attached, a code attached to that real ID. So they will know everybody who's in this state, how they're spending their money or where they're working or how they get paid. It's getting pretty creepy and scary. But yes, the passport is gradually being phased out as being recognized. It's like practically worthless at this point. Whatever state you live in, they're going to want to know that you live there. They're going to give you a code and identification. So that's why they consider something as silly. I consider the driver's license silly as being marked as a real ID, but it's just simply a better, more accurate way of tracking you. But yes, Josie, please now respond to my second point.
I said I don't like when people get killed. Period. I don't know why you had to take it there.
I think it brings it down to a very like not complex way of looking at it.
No,
You
my
know,
way is very not complex to look at it. Is I don't like when people die. That's all.
I don't like when
That's
people
all.
die either, but I don't
Well,
like
there
when
you
people
go.
get.
We agree. I don't see why you had to bring
But
that
what
up.
are we supposed to feel? What are we supposed to feel? Say that child that was walking around my kid's high school
Well,
flexing the
that's
ID at
that's
the
your
tire,
interpretation of what I said. It doesn't mean
flexing
that
the
is what I
ID at the
said.
tire. That child is taking a stand on, they've chosen a side. They need to be responsible and accountable for that side that they've chosen, period.
Sure, sure.
Omar just shared an incredibly personal, I mean, really, there's no better example than what Omar just shared. God bless his father. He has chosen a side. I now, since 2023, I understand the term martyr with more clarity than I ever have. If I go there and I stand in front of a bullet for an innocent person in Gaza, I will proudly do that. And I've told my children in 2023, I am willing to do that. As a healthcare worker, I've tried to volunteer through Med Global to go there. My children understood. I said in 2023, if I go there and don't return, don't feel sad. I've chosen that side. There's no neutrality now, Josie. It doesn't exist. When these kids choose a side, they need to be accountable for that side that they've chosen. Period. Yes, every life is innocent and God will be the ultimate judge. But here on earth, they've chosen a side. There's no neutrality anymore.
Yeah, Josie can't stand what the IDF and what Zionism has done either, and I know that. And what you're saying, Kay, my heart goes out to you. My daughter was also called into the. This happened 2 weeks ago. My 13-year-old daughter in middle school had done. Excuse me. My 13-year-old daughter in middle school got called to the dean's office because she had. Well, they bothered her that she had the Palestinian flag on her back of her phone. Second thing that bothered her was someone was going on and on about, hey, what nationals Israel were at war. We got to back them up 100%. My daughter said, "Wait a minute. You got to look at both sides." Boop. She gets called to the dean, and they wanted to make sure she wasn't anti-Semitic. Yep, but she's very smart. She knew exactly what to say. She said, "Of course, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-war, and I'm anti-killing, and I'm anti what the Israeli National Zionist regime, the killing murders regime, doing." And the dean told her, "Hey, whoa, 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 chill." But she's in a very pro Zionist school also.
Man, my kid could probably out debate anybody on this whole Israel Palestine situation. Okay, he is very pro Palestine. He will rock pro Palestine hoodies to school. And I mean, I've already had talks with his teacher. I like, and she's actually Muslim, and also pro Palestine. Um, but but you would never guess she's Muslim though. Like she's very country accent, like biscuits and chicken in the morning or whatever type of person. Like she's cute. But anyway, but I do think it's important to have this dialogue because my son hears about it, and he's obviously hearing me talk. But the things that he hears from other people, like his friend's dad, who happens to be like pro, well, he says the remarks that like pro, I think maybe it's just from the programming, but that it kicked off a whole conversation between me and his friend's dad about it. But I think that this is how we kind of incorporate these conversations into the real world, and make a change. But yeah, so guys, welcome. Good morning, Grand Rising. It's 8:18 a.m. here on the East Coast. Make sure you're reposting the space. There's 24/7 coverage of the war in Iran, and we do all of the breaking news as it comes in, and we have conversations in between. I'm gonna do a little recap here in a bit. We're gonna get through two more hands. We'll go to Henry, we'll go back to Kay, and then I'll do a little recap for you guys, and we will carry on the conversation. Go ahead, Henry.
Cheers to all of you, mate, especially you, Sally, everyone, Beatrix, and cheers to Matt. Andre, I've got a question for you. I've got a mate, he's actually working for American Embassy, and I got to know now he's in Cyprus. And he just told me that they will want to evacuate 1 week prior to the war. And that makes me to think like, so America knew that something is going to come up. Although when you like reading all the news and everything, like you concluded like America didn't have a plan B. So what do you reckon? Why do you think they shut down an embassy a week before the war actually come out?
Yeah, you answered your own question, brother. You can elaborate on that. They knew exactly there was a timeline. They were going to do a military operation.
Yeah, but
What was the
doesn't
question
contradict
too?
like America. Sorry,
I wasn't sure if you were asking someone specifically on the panel or was it Andrew?
Andrew.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was just making sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, cheers. No, it just makes me to think like it all shows that they didn't have a plan B, but also Oman, which is very peaceful and it's not really involved directly in this. I mean, knowing that all the GCC countries been hit and they're involved, but Oman is not really. But they were told to just evacuate. It's just a bit weird to me. I just want to know what is Andrew's feedback on this.
Yeah, there's no plan B because we can see tell me there was a plan B when the fools thought that they would have a regime change with killing Khomeini. I mean, we can go on and on from that, brother, don't you think?
No, true that. But then leaving the embassy in Oman and then going all the people to Cyprus is, I don't know, it just made me to think, like, have a glimpse of thought, like, so they might have some plan B. I don't know how.
Oh, you're talking about the second part, the second strategy, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, which would be the Suez or the Red Sea, correct? Am I?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I understand what you mean. Yeah, of course. What we're looking at here's going to be phase 2. Okay. I got so much pushback. I was called a fearmonger. I had someone yelling at me. This guy kept interrupting me. I won't mention his name. Starts with an M. He kept saying, "You're just spreading fear. You have no proof." I said, "Listen, shut up, you fool."
The Fox News guy, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. But here's the thing. What we're looking at next, Iran's already told us part B. Guess what that is? We shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, let's go play with the Suez Canal. What's that? The Red Sea. What's that? I'll put it to you this way. That's going to be that we have a chokehold that will bring the world down to its knees. That means that one tanker, it was actually a cargo ship, a container ship, the USS Evergreen. This happened in 2023. It fouled up in the Suez Canal. That was only 6 days. It cost $57 billion. Why do you think in U.S. Navy strategic planning, when we go into our warfare planning, and I'm in mostly the submarine warfare, we look at choke points. We study choke points. That's what it's all about, by crippling the world economy by choke points. Yeah. And I'm not going to keep going on that, but yeah, they're looking at part two there. Yeah. Thank you there. I appreciate it, bro.
Thanks, man. Amazing.
Thank you, Henry, for that. All right. Okay, go ahead, Kay.
Oh, one more point. I go into some of these pro-Israeli spaces, and I know Josie goes into stealth. It seems like they're trying to draw attention away from Bibi or Israel, and who cares whether he's dead or alive? But they want to really push for this idea that America alone is fighting Iran, and that they're trying to get people to to back that, to support that, like it's their patriotic duty to stand against Israel as an American, and that stand against Iran as as an American, and that Israel really is out of that part of the picture.
You're right, Kay. Kay, that's exactly what Israel finished their job. They're like that little punk that walks in and starts a fight and then leaves and lets lets the others deal with it. That's exactly what those coward, psychopathic, despicable beings have done, Kay. You're absolutely right, dear. Now it's America's problem.
Yeah, Israel has
But
to
not only
focus
that,
on Lebanon as well. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
that's what I was gonna say. They're expanding into Lebanon. They're telling them like, move up, and they're everybody like they're literally like, while you guys are fighting our war in Iran, we're just gonna go ahead and hijack that. They're literally going for territory. That's what the news around it has been. So yeah, it's pretty wild. Did you want to
Yeah,
respond
it
to that?
has
Go ahead.
Hezbollah is they're the most they're the most potent proxy, in the axis of resistance in general. Um, and I guess I've made much already about their guerrilla force that's in Lebanon. They issued an evacuation order for the entire southern half of the country. Right, they're going to go in there, and there was a woman who was speaking on the the Palantir assistance that Israel had in Gaza. We're going to see that times 10 in Lebanon. They're going to go scorched earth. They're going to surveil the names and faces of pretty much everybody that they need to target, but they're going to do that for efficiency. Whereas in reality, when they are on the ground, they're going to clear things out. You're going to see war crimes on the level of, you know, biblical proportions, I guess you can say, and Hezbollah has been effective. They sent, over 150,000 rockets and drones and precision guided missiles, and the Iron Dome has been overwhelmed by it. They've really had very little, if any, answer whatsoever at all from the very start of this thing this year. And, really they in their minds they have to go all in. They've called up about like 100,000 reserves anyway. And a ground invasion allows them to achieve what airstrikes can't, right? That they're able to physically occupy and clear Hezbollah's underground tunnel networks. Their aim, is to target the weapons depots and the command centers, and some of them are supposedly embedded in civilian areas, across the southern part. There's like this southern valley of Lebanon. So anything below the Litani River is considered fair game in their mind. So they've already spoken about it. They've already said Roaring Lion is to create a buffer zone and enforce that resolution that was established in 2006. I think it was after the war in 2006, um, or rather maybe it was 2024. Either way, right? Because in 2024 they had established a UN resolution, but they also had a resolution after 2006, following that exchange that lasted, I think, 34 days. So Without boots on the ground, in their view, Hezbollah could regroup, but they can't fight Iran while in Lebanon. They cannot. They can't devote any more resources that they have, which are waning already, to Iran. It would completely overwhelm them. So, like somebody, I think Andrew said, Iran has to become America's problem, and they consider America an asset, so they are going to devote that asset to Iran, as well as whatever other country that they can convince to pose either an invasion or some sort of a military incursion of some kind in Iran, which is probably going to be a mass invasion, but time will tell, of course. So, yeah, I think I just wanted to chime that in.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Are you in the US?
No, not right now.
Okay. Was just
Why are you
curious.
trying to dox people, Josie?
Well, the country,
I
like,
don't mind
chill.
that.
It's big enough. I think you're safe.
You what?
I think the country is big enough. It's safe. There's plenty of
Which
places to
country?
hide. I mean, America's pretty big. Like, just saying you're in America, I mean, is that really doxing? Like, come on.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not in
Okay.
America.
It's called a joke. You know what I'm saying? Jokes
Ha
before
ha
9
ha ha
a.m.
ha.
They don't
Ha
hit
ha.
there.
Ha ha
Um,
ha.
okay, hold on. One more thing. So we have some news. There was Iran has published footage showing the 49th wave of ballistic missile launches towards U.S. bases in the region and 3 separate salvos this morning. And then it was also reiterated around the residents and civilians that are near any of the hideouts, ports, and docks in the UAE for them to evacuate and to stay out of harm's way. So this is the thing that I think has been pretty consistent with Iran is ensuring that they like explain to people that we were attacked from these places and we're going to respond by attacking to those places which are not necessarily visible and known bases. So obviously, they're getting ahead of the narrative spin that they are probably gonna like, oh look, they're attacking their neighboring countries. Well, they told you why. I had to get my computer charger. We're going to go through some of the news that's happened overnight for many of you that are just now waking up. But as my computer is charging for me to open it up, there's something else that just came in. Senior Iranian MP Ibrahim Azizi on Ukraine says that by providing drone support to the Israeli regime, failed Ukraine has effectively become involved in the war. And under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, has turned its entire territory into legitimate target for Iran. They are not playing, boy, I swear. That's crazy.
I tell you what, Maze, right? Military stuff aside, like, I don't know what to make of Iran. Like, a little part of me thinks they watched and they, like, when I look at all of the resistance factions, in fact, right? Not just Iran, but all of them. When I look at, like, the Palestinians' resistance factions, right? I feel like they checkmate Israel and America so easily. It's like, I don't know if it's that they watched and learned from the enemy, but obviously, and learn how dirty they play and then realize how to checkmate them. But one thing that they all have in common is the degree of morality. Like they really apply, there's like it's weird to say, but a moral code, even in war times, they apply that moral code, unlike America and Israel. But like I just feel like when I read these statements and I look at how they're playing it strategically and stuff, it's like you put a really, really, really sharp and smart kid in a class with the thickest kid. And America and the UK and USA look like the thickest kids. Do you know what I mean? Like really stupid. And then these kids are like so smart, they're wiping the floor with them. Like even the media is scurrying to find anything good to write at the moment. Anyway, guys, YouTube is up and running, and I'm dreading it because you know what's going to happen, Maze? As soon as Suleiman comes on, they're going to give a super chat and say, "Oh yeah, Beatrix, I've come here to report Beatrix and Maze crashed the space 5 hours ago, and Beatrix crashed the space 9 hours ago." Literally, they're going to be snitching. Do you know that, don't you? And it wasn't even our fault.
I know. I mean, if it was, we did CPR, okay? We held this, we held it down. We made sure that it kept going, and even though there was little delays in between, we had the whole thing back up a couple times. I think we did great. But for some
Yeah, I
reason,
noticed it crashed when I was talking. I think I don't know how many times you tried to restart it, but it did crash while I was talking about Russia, I think.
yeah, and then and then it crashed. I don't know. I guess there was a few crashes in between us getting it back up again, and then yeah, it crashed again. But here we are, alive and kicking. I would, since I have you up here, I would love to know more about what you think in this whole the economic side of things as it pertains to the strait and what Iran's. Do you think this isn't a? Do you think that this is like more of a well thought out strategy, or do you think that this is more of a reactive thing that's going on with Iran and what they're demanding in terms of payment system with the Strait?
Are you asking me,
I was
Mace?
asking inevitable because they
Oh,
wanted
sure.
the Chinese yuan. This is
Yeah.
Inevitable is Suleiman's favorite representative of China. I hear inevitable, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What is it? If I'm not inevitable West, of course. I think that's my. I think he has
Oh.
to get adjusted there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I did think, today I was listening, wasn't I? And when I heard him say, "Go ahead, inevitable," I thought, "No freaking way is that inevitable West come on our space." And then I came and I looked at your profile. And I thought, "Of course it's you." You know what I mean? But yeah, no, go ahead, inevitable.
Yeah, you'd hear yeah. No, but but referring to the strategic side, yes, of Iran, and it was well known. I think one of the top generals even basically warned Trump that, hey, Iran is going to, by necessity, take control of the energy of the middle of the entire area, the entire region itself, and they are going to, again, by necessity, have to hold. I think they underestimated, of course, the willingness to strike, and they overestimated the willingness of these Gulf countries to respond. Right? They wanted more of like a sycophantic zeal from even, say, the UAE and Saudi Arabia, for example, and they aren't seeing that. Right? And while some of the outspoken, messaging from, like, say, Lindsey Graham, for example, appears to be a little bit more cartoonish and perhaps entertain. Yeah, I guess the way to put it is like theater. Despite that, I think that just from the we have to look at the Gulf countries and what they have available in their
There's elevator music. All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay. There he is. All right, guys, repost the space. You know the drill. Hit the little purple pill. Get this into your DM groups and get it back out there. Listen, man, these Zios are not playing this morning. I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're just legit like, oh, we're going to do what we can to shut this down, but we're not going to let take a hand or two, and then we will get back to it. Okay, so Indian. So an Indian journalist to Laura Loomer. You said if Kamala Harris wins the White House, will smell like curry and speeches will be via a call center, and that our country was built by white Europeans, not third world invaders from India. From what I see, that's brazenly racist and Islamophobic. In this country, we welcome all, but those comments smack of anti Indianism, Islamophobia, racism, which have no place today. No place today. These comments are unacceptable to me as an Indian world citizen. That's interesting. Some of the other things. Okay, somebody had asked about in the DMs if Iran in their statement against the UAE said that they were going to attack residential or civilian infrastructure. Well, I'm going to answer it out loud before I go into the DMs, but the answer is no. They said that the United States Emirates should immediately leave the ports and docking areas and the locations where the U.S. military hideouts are. So these are not the traditional bases that everybody's familiar with. They've been launching missiles to the last island that I mentioned from hideouts. So hopefully that clears that up for anybody else that was wondering. And again, for those of you pulling up, Iran just published the footage showing their 49th wave of ballistic missiles launches towards the U.S. bases in the region in three separate salvos. So that's kind of the latest and greatest. But let's go to Raccoon for now until we get Inevitable back to finish what he was saying. Go ahead, Raccoon.
Good morning, Maze. You crack me
Good
up
morning.
with all of this, like hearing you, like giggling to yourself. Like I can tell you're like driving yourself crazy over there. But I wanted to comment about that Iransky guy, I think it was, who was up earlier, who was driving you all wacko. What
Oh,
I was
yeah, go ahead.
what I was picking up from him is this is like a luxury boutique political belief, and he does sound like he shops in a lot of luxury boutiques, if you get my meaning. And I feel like for him, it's just a matter of like a personal proclivity of reproductive strategy to go over there and seduce young Iranian men to his needs. Um, that's really what I got was like he wants to go over there to be free to be himself and not get thrown off of a building for it. Um, and as for the spaces going down, um, some other space popped up that I thought right after the space just went down, your space, this space. It was I think it was another war commentary space, and I thought it was you guys. So I hit listen, and as soon as I hit listen, they crashed too. So it seems to be like a crappy X platform spaces thing, like plague going on with not just you guys, but essentially any space that is on, they're just all crashing. And for Josie, I want to tell you I'm probably one of the only people in the YouTube chat who likes you. And with that, I will go ahead and shut my mouth. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaking of YouTube chat, I need to put that back up into the nest. Um, Gosh, your last comment completely threw me off of what I was gonna say. What did you say before that? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think you were talking about the Iran's, the monarchist, but then you said something after that. I can't remember. Shit. Dang it.
Yeah, I
Go
feel
on.
like the Iransky guy just wants the regime change so he can go be a pervert on young Iranian men. So
Oh, well, I was,
Were you done cooking Loomer?
yeah, I did finish cooking Loomer. Did you have something?
No, ma'am. I was just if trying to help you regain your thought process.
Did
I
you
didn't know if
call
that's what you were
me
going back to.
ma'am? You called me ma'am.
I do what I want.
Fine, fine, fine. Hey, okay, we have Inevitable back. You know what, Inevitable? It is
Hey,
something about you talking. Like when you start to talk, you know what I mean? The space crashes and stuff. What's going on with that?
yeah,
There's
I'm a
like,
little concerned. Yeah, I know I'm being monitored, but outside of that, I try not to say anything too crazy, or at least try to keep it vague. But we'll see if it happens again. I'll have to find another way or find some other means of talking. But um, no, we were what were we on? What were we talking about? We were talking
well,
about
before we get
go,
back into that, I'll refresh your memory in just a second. I just wanted to point everyone to the nest. Look above our heads, and you'll see a link there to the YouTube. Please be sure to go there, open that up, keep it in a separate window, like it, subscribe to it. This is the best way to get all this information that usually lives in Twitter out into the real world, easily shared little clips, 8-minute recaps of the day, lots of bite-sized information as well as excellent long interviews. This is with various people getting various opinions, war strategies, kind of the intelligence side of things, and all types of good stuff. So make sure you go check that out. But also the live stream there and the epic chat family. Okay, I call them the chat family because they go hard, right? They are rocking with this space. It doesn't matter what time of day you have people to be able to exchange ideas with, talk with, troll with, whatever. So go up there and please click on that and make sure you're subscribing and liking those videos, so that it can, the algorithm can favor them. Okay, so what we were talking about, I'd asked you what you thought in regards to the announcement made by by Iran around allowing people who have been, I guess, who are changing their payment system, not system per se, but changing it from the dollar to the yen. I mean, to the yuan. I don't know why I keep saying yen, to the one. Do you think that this is kind of some sort of like a strategy? And I think it's bigger than shipping. It's like maritime coercion and currency coercion kind of at the same time. But I think it's strategic considering it's really it's pushing people to move away from the dollar. So what's your take on it?
Yeah, and there is a misconception that, there's this concerted effort by BRICS to completely destroy the dollar. The dollar, for the most part, is destroying itself anyway. It doesn't really need too much help on the outside. But of course, competition tends to kind of dishevel or cause competition tends to cause the insecure to become disheveled, if you will. It tends to disrupt the insecure, and that which is not on a on a sound foundation to begin with generally falls apart anyway when another set of competition comes in. So the reserve yuan allows China and really BRICS allies in general across the world, and especially in the so-called global South, to bypass a lot of the strategy that the West has had in dominating the world through economic subversion and through sanctions. So you won't have, for example, with a stronger yuan, you won't have U.S. Western power, a veto power on the financial side, and Iran with the side of its allies and with the help of its allies is kind of the latest example of the reinforcement on the national defense side. So in 2025, last year, the global reserve of the yuan share hit around like 2.9%, which was double what it was in 2015, which it doesn't seem like a lot, right? However, that's given that a lot of the intent or the use case of this have been for purchases of oil, the petrol yuan, as well as opening it up further as Xi Jinping intends and as he announced last year to be able to be used and as for debts and for loans rather. Um, and so the goal will be to lower borrowing costs because global players would be able to start chasing yuan bonds, and it would drive down yields through sheer demand, basically. So the BRICS has a new development bank, which cranked out multiple, RMB denominated panda bonds alone in 2025, right? So there were about like 20 to 25 billion, uh, basically across series, right? So a billion yuan used through Panda bonds in 2025. So this cascades to fund and Belt and Road projects, and that's a huge matter. Especially Iran has a huge place in that. This is more long term, of course. Iran, in the short term, is likely implementing this as a sort of it's a double, right? Because in one hand, it sort of normalizes the use case of the yuan and the petro yuan in general, while in the other, it's just simply like a middle finger to the establishment that is oppressing it, which is just in and of itself a pretty cool thing to see. It's very it's very amusing to say the least. But in the long term, it's quite serious. Since 2013, the Belt and Road racked up over $1 trillion in investments, $1 trillion worth, right? So the World Bank estimates around like 1.3 trillion by like around the middle of this year. So that would span infrastructure in over 150 countries, and the yuan financing kind of cuts conversion costs and foreign trade headaches. So, for example, yuan loans for African rail or Pakistani ports or Iranian shipping, avoiding dollar volatility, would allow Beijing to basically recycle surpluses without feeding U.S. treasuries. But as far as in the short term, Iran has really had to hedge it. Well, first of all, the Gulf itself has variance when it comes to how it's hedged against, the oil crisis and obviously what Iran is doing as a necessity for its survival. Um, in particular, so well, just to make it kind of clear, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, they're the most hedged for a closure of the Strait of Hormuz, right? Because they have the ability to transport oil through through mitigation. Through mitigation means like an east and west pipeline. Like Saudi Arabia has an east and west pipeline where they can move about like roughly 5 billion barrels per day of oil, and that's been operational since like the 80s. And they've been able to be flexible. So I think back in 2020, I believe, they were able to increase their flows and allow kind of like, you know, tests, and in full capacity tests are kind of rare for them, but they are looking at the Red Sea as an option. The UAE is pretty hedged as well. They're kind of well hedged as well. They can do, I think maybe roughly around like 1 million barrels per day. However, it's the other ones that are more reliant on the strait, like Iraq and Qatar. Qatar is extremely reliant. I think they're the ones who have this. Um, I think it's like a precursor chemical for helium, I believe. I think, and that's like fully reliant, and it's also extremely needed for the world's fertilizer supply. I think like 30% of that particular precursor chemical goes through the Strait of Hormuz, and that has a direct effect on the if you will, like the agricultural industry globally, right? So collectively, like you're going to see an exclusive use of the strait for getting their oil out, of Kuwait and Qatar and Bahrain. And these countries are going to have to suffer the most. However, what we're seeing is there is a lack of willingness from insurance companies to clear the usage of well, the Strait is a given, but the Red Sea is also considered a very high risk area as well. And the Houthis being mobilized, or the Houthis spoke out and said that they are basically ready and willing, right? Which we knew. I think anybody who understands the Houthis and the relationship that they have with Iran, especially with how bad it was with Saudi Arabia, they knew that I think you would know that they were always going to be someone, a force waiting in the rings. However, it stands to reason that a lot of the direct attacks that have taken place on oil production facilities have been pretty substantial in the overall collapse in the oil, if you will, the trust of the oil export system that's taking place in the Gulf. Iran knows this. This has been a strategy. The U.S., a lot of their top advisors knew this, and a lot of people monitoring, from afar, and kind of able to kind of see and observe and game plan around the U.S.'s strategy, knew that the U.S. would have to take this into account, and they are. I'll just land with this. I'll say that the U.S. has taken it into account. Trump was well aware of the stakes going into this. He underestimated, again, the enemy's capability, but he overestimated, um, you know, he overestimated his own, if you will. He overestimated Israel's capability. He overestimated his ability, if you will, the dissent, the dysfunction within the Iranian, guard, if you will. He completely overshot, and they are going to pay for it. But they also do, again, and I said this the other day. America has a system in which even when they lose, they still win. And what I mean by that is the worst case scenario still advances their overall greater agenda, even if it is at the cost of maybe millions of lives, and at the financial ruin of even their own citizens and their own population, the suffering
But
and the
how
contempt
long
of
do
their
you
own
think they
population.
can? I don't think they can pull that off anymore. So, like now, with everyone having access to so much information and real time news, like I think this is changing the tide, especially ever since the October 7th and people waking up to narratives and fake news and all of this stuff. I think that United States right now has tarnished its reputation beyond repair, it seems. And I think that people understand what they've been doing over time. They've seen the patterns now. But I will say, for now, Iran could have done this a long time ago. Obviously, this was what catalyzed them to move in this direction. And this catalyst, I think, is pretty significant. It does signal that, like, wait a minute, maybe they're not invincible, you know? I think it's a big message. I think it's a big message, regardless of, how it goes and how it unfolds. But it is allowing a way to ease the stress of what's going on right now economically. but it's doing so in a way that's gonna like literally backslap, the United States. I don't know.
No, it's just delaying the inevitable as far as well, again, because there's, even if Trump says tomorrow, "Hey, we won, we're pulling everything out," well, essentially they're pulling out of Iran, or of the active attacks on Iran. It doesn't open the Strait of Hormuz. It doesn't stop Iran's, continuing struggle with Israel, right? And so this is not something that they can declare victory over, but however, this is something that they can carve their way forward through force and through simply peddling an agenda. And you are correct. They have tried psyops on their own citizens. America has tried psyops on its own citizens. It has, done everything it could to control the narrative. And in many cases, they've been exposed, and the entire world does watch and does relay information and can see for themselves, what's happening. However, the U.S. does not care. And this is again just from intelligence. The US does not care necessarily about how believable they are. They care about how documented they are. They want documentation and quote unquote justification for everything that they do. Even if it's not for now, it's for 10 or 20 years from now, where they can point back to specific events, no matter how shoddily they are pulled off, and how obvious and clear it is that they were a pretense. They still need that. Hence, weapons of mass destruction in the war in Iraq. Hence, I don't anything from
Yeah.
napalm, right? They create these things so that they can sort of like carve forward their narrative and still do it. They don't care about even manufacturing consent anymore. They want to manufacture the appearance of consent.
Right. Exactly, actually. That's very true. I mean, obviously we have not declared war, I don't think since what, World War II? Or no, it might have happened once since then. But it was decades ago. Yet you can look back and see all of these military, whatever they call them, military actions or strikes. So it's just, again, yeah, they're bypass. They don't, as long as you think your opinion matters, they're good with that. And then you can also have the doubt that maybe there is a majority that disagrees with you, but that's really never the case. They just kind of leaving that doubt open. So, guys, just a few things I want to report on. Iran's Karg Island resumes its oil shipping. So, two oil tankers are being loaded now. Shortly, and this is a different one, shortly after telling people that they can leave the underground shelters, the IDF detected another ballistic missile launch from Iran. New missile launches from Iran towards Israel. Another report came out. It said that Iran warned it will treat locations in the UAE hosting U.S. troops as legitimate targets, accusing Washington of launching missile attacks on Iranian territory from the Emirati soil. And again, they were saying that these were hideouts, not the regular bases that people know about that they've already attacked. So there was some footage that came out about this was Iran publishing footage showing moments when the American MQ-9 drone was intercepted by Iran air defenses yesterday in Bandar Abbas. And then finally, there was three branches of the U.S. Citibank in Dubai and Manama that were targeted. This is the response to the carried out attack against the banks in Iran. Bank Sepa, I think is the name of it. And yeah, that's what I have on the breaking news so far. But welcome back, guys. And I see that there's a bunch of people on stage. So if you guys want to chime in, then by all
I
means,
just want to
please.
add, sorry to interrupt. I just
Sure.
want to
No,
add
go
sirens going off here in Jordan, and this is the second wave of barrage of missiles already going towards Tel Aviv. So, boom, boom, Tel Aviv. Where are you, Sully?
You know what he's going to do, Omar? He's going to come back, and the first thing he's going to do is check how many times this space crashed. Oh my God. Like, seriously, I couldn't even get on now. I got
Now,
kicked 3 times.
we got your back. We got your back.
Yeah,
Somebody's
man.
already done a super chat. Already done a super chat saying, I'm going to tell Sully when he comes back that Beatrice crashed the space. They've already done it, and Suleiman's not even back yet.
Hey,
Snake
No,
I got
chin.
we'll
blamed
give him
for it
that
too.
one Bitcoin, and we'll be good.
I just want to say shout out to Mr. Twist ANZ. Okay, you're the bomb. I'm reading the chat. I appreciate you. There was another one that I like to. I think it's Inserta. Let me see, where'd it go? Yeah, man. I definitely appreciate the kind words. I do. I will crack jokes on myself and I do crack up and giggle like Raccoon was saying when I'm reading things because sometimes it's just almost like this is satire. Like this is made for satire. It just can't be real, but it is real. So it's times, where we have to make little lighthearted jokes out of things because otherwise we would go crazy. But I do appreciate that you guys find it, funny and chuckle along as well. Let's see. What else do we have? And guys, if you come across any breaking news that we haven't covered yet, and something that you see, I appreciate when you guys do tag me in it. A few things that did not come in my timeline, that I've been reporting on, so it's coming from you guys. So thank you so much. Continue to do that, please. Okay, one other thing just came out. By the way, Laura Loomer's getting cooked by Indian journalists, by the way. It's funny. I don't know why she did this conference because they're, they don't really like her very much, but it is interesting. But before I go there, there's something more important. US to defend Israel in ICJ Gaza genocide case against South Africa. The US administration filed an intervention at the ICJ on Thursday to support Israel against South Africa's case over Gaza genocide. This there's like a whole report on that. If you guys want to read it, I'll put it into the purple pill. Yeah, and then okay, so Laura Luber, basically, in addition to the last thing that I read, she was asked to take back some comments. Where did it go? It was actually quite interesting. She's like, no, okay, there were some things I shouldn't have said, but I'm not going to take back what I said about H-1Bs. But yeah, she's getting roasted at this conference. I lost the other one. I have to find it. It's in here somewhere. But yeah, guys, repost the space and just jump in if you have any news. And hi, Andrew, I see you back up here.
Maze, what Inevitable was just saying, right? He's right. Look at that, what you just read out about the ICJ case. The ICJ is an institution that was slammed by America as not even being legitimate for the mere fact that South Africa took a case there. The South African foreign minister, she was threatened. Her family was threatened. The lives of her husband and kid were threatened, right? And she's on video saying this. And she said if it was any other country they would have taken a case out for, they wouldn't have had to experience that. And I just heard, because I was obviously getting kicked out of this space, I heard Inevitable say, like America, I can't remember his exact words, but want to win at any cost. It doesn't matter what the narrative is. It doesn't matter. They're not even bothered about manufacturing consent. They don't care what people think. And the fact that despite all this uproar, despite all these people turning on them, for the control Israel has on them, despite the fact that they've gone and done this war for the sake of Israel, everyone's calling them out. What do they go and do? Double down and say we're going to defend Israel in the case of genocide. And I know why they're doing it. They have to do it. It's self-preservation because they funded the genocide. So therefore, they're doing it. But it's like they don't care. Like America literally does not care. And I don't even think it's America. I think it's Israel. I actually think the occupation is so deep of America that it's not Trump or anybody calling the shots. It's literally Mossad CIA calling the shots there. It's crazy that they're doing this.
100%. 100%. The occupation is so deep. It's everything from the tech to the infrastructure to media to Congress to policies. Like, it's beyond comprehension. It's so complex that it almost hurts to try to think of a way out of it. Like, how, you know?
Yes, yes,
Hey,
yes. Can I read Scott Ritter's commentary about the Marine Expeditionary coming in here to the 31st MEU?
Yes, please.
Okay. I put it down in the purple pill. Scott Ritter has written, now he's a Marine and he has a lot of hate pushing back against him, especially amongst Marines. And And I won't go into the details about that. I've been called out by at least three professional retired military officers that have accused me of how stupid I am for believing anything Scott Ritter writes, which tells you, okay, so Scott writes, the 31st MEU, that's Marine Expeditionary Unit, is heading toward the Persian Gulf. And I'll read it briefly. He says, there's a lot of talk about the Marines taking Karg Island. But the truth is, the USS Tripoli and American class amphibious assault ships that carry the embarked 31st MEU can't get anywhere near the island. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. To even try to enter the Persian Gulf is the kind of suicidal venture former Marine Commandant General David Berger warned about in his 2019 Commandant's Planning Guidance, where he noted that our nation's ability to project power and influence beyond its shores is increasingly challenged by long range precision fires, expanding air, surface, and subsurface threats. And I already went into the subsurface threats 1,000 times. And then he continues, and the continued degradation of our amphibious and auxiliary ship readiness, the ability to project and maneuver from strategic distances will likely be detected. Are you kidding? For sure, and contested from the point of embarkation during the major contingency. It would be illogical, absolutely, to continue to concentrate our forces on a few large ships, and then the adversary will quickly recognize that striking while concentrated, and he goes, da da da, but I want to close here because he writes this, it's quite extensive, and I'll close it here to be brief. And he says, doesn't this sound familiar? Because in May 1975, U.S. Marines carried out a very similar vertical envelopment of Koh Tang Island in the Gulf of Thailand, conceived as a rescue mission to free U.S. merchant marine sailors taken by prisoner of the Khmer Rouge. The Marines instead found no prisoners, but lots of dug-in Khmer Rouge fighters who ended up shooting down 3 of the 11 helicopters used, and it goes on and on and on, basically. And I won't read all of it, but then I'll end by the final paragraph. He says, so does General Smith, now General Smith is our current Commandant of the Marine Corps, and he puts it in here, does he possess the kind of intelligence and courage that General Gray had in standing up to the bad ideas? And then I'll close it out there. So he what he's doing, and I've been saying for 15 going on 14 and a half days here, I've been saying over and over again, all the military strategists, and from the naval, I'm speaking from my naval experience, this is a suicide mission. This is beyond shock. I'm still stunned. So I'll land it there. Thanks, guys.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I concur. That's a certainly certainly a problem. You know, it is posturing. I don't think they mean to seize the Strait or to reopen the Strait of Hormuz um or um, seize Island simply alone with that unit. It seems more like they are setting the stage, and there's a lot of reason to believe that they are setting the stage for something bigger. I think it would likely be the Arabian Sea, where I imagine if they get any closer than the Arabian Sea, I just can't see how they aren't immediately targeted with a vast array of it could be anything. It really I know in the skies the 358 has been so key in taking out drones, but even the like what you mentioned as far as the subterranean options that Iran
Correct.
has.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge factor in play because they can launch those
Yes.
subterraneans from
Yes.
far in a way that cannot be intercepted, and they have UUVs, which I'll say it like this: they are further than they appear. Right? They are further than they appear,
Yeah.
and if they need more, they can deliver them with practical with ease. Basically, there's a reason why there were these marine expeditions in the Gulf of Oman, and people say, "Oh, well, the Navy was sunk." That's not even a factor here. That's not a factor whatsoever, right? They don't need. It's not a matter of having a blue water navy from Iran. That was never the case. It was never in. I don't even think. Anyway, I think they just took that victory of taking out those naval vessels just so that they can have sort of like face, if you will. But But no, it's a they need to stop like at the Arabian Sea, I believe, and then build from there. Otherwise, it will be a blood sacrifice. 2,500
Exactly.
Marines and sailors. It is pathetic. Maybe I've sounded a little bit like, I guess, cold. I try to keep like morality out of it, but when you factor in the moral side, that's when I really start to connect with like a lot of people who have spoken on here and have, you know, they've been in the military of the United States and other allies, and even throughout the West Asian sphere, and people who've given their lives and connected with local populations, that were occupied. I That's when it starts to be real. So I totally understand why there's such vehemence against what's going on. But that task force is not prepared whatsoever. They might have a battalion landing team, even, and it would probably, I imagine, be like an aviation sort of combat element, and I don't know exactly what they would use for that. I don't know what's a part of that MEU, right? But the USS Tripoli, from my understanding, it has air centric operations, so they may want to do quick strikes and raids or insertions and then sustain themselves, but that's only going to be a limited self sustainment. They can't, again, it's either a massacre or it's stage setting. But to set the stage, it is probably the most ambitious and dangerous attempt, that we've seen in recent history. So I
Hey,
guess I'll leave it like that.
yeah, exactly. And what Mangos and I got in yesterday is in a MEU like that. There are
Did you call him
LPDs.
mangoes?
Yes, that's
That's funny.
yes. We had. Oh, guess what? We had a name change. Yeah, we had a name change. And so my little buddy is a name change, and he's my BFF, kind of, sort of, but not really. He was saying, "Oh no, it's only no." A Mu has to have all components. Now it's interesting. I'm showing that the LPDs have deployed with that battle group because they're always going to be deployed together. But it looks like they're not going to use them. Thank God. The LCU element, that's boats. That's literally boats, Marines and boats, which is even worse. So I don't think we'll see them at this point. But what I was looking at
LPDs.
initially is
I'm sorry, Andrew. LPDs. Do you mean like, is that for like landing or something? What's that for?
yeah, LPD are they are landing ships, that they are amphibious ships that carry LCUs, these little, like the World War II movies, you saw the Marines, the soldiers and boats floating and land on the beach. Yeah, they carry the landing port dock. They can do helo ops, and they also can do launch boats from their well deck underneath. And they're big boats. I mean, these are pretty big. You can carry 50, combat soldiers inside of them. They carry several of those. So, but anyway, the reason why I've been freaking out since day one, and inevitable. I have to eat crow here with you, sir. I have to say I'm sorry, because when you brought this up 3 days ago, I said no. There's no way they could do invasion. It's just impossible, ground force invasion. And you're like, no, I see it. So you were right. I was wrong. I missed that one.
No, I
It's
appreciate I appreciate that,
thank
though. That was a good discussion because it made me think as well. I had to, defend my ideas as well, and
yeah,
there was information that circulates, and other countries have things that
yeah.
but I'll leave it at that. But no, I appreciated that conversation.
Hey, Andrew, I
Thank
have
you,
Hey,
one
sir.
more.
Thank you.
there's just really quickly, I think that was Mr. Kaplan. I'm gonna come right
Yes.
back to you, okay? I just wanted to read this. So I already, okay, wait. So there was the death of the rabbi I just read. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Okay. So Iran says docks on Keshem Island were hit by missiles. Is it Keshem? Keshem Island is strategically important because it sits at the entrance of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran can monitor or threaten tanker traffic from the island. It hosts IRGC naval forces, missiles, drones, and fast boats. Also, Zelensky said Trump and I aren't the same age. Maybe because of that, he sees our relationship like father son. And the reporter was like, you think he sees you as a son? And Zelensky was like, I don't know, maybe not his favorite son. I'm sorry, this is fun.
Hey,
This is the
can
first
I
time.
break in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I break in here since it's giggle time?
Yeah,
Uh,
go. Oh,
you know,
wait, Mr. Kaplan had something to say. Who is that, Doc?
yeah, just give me a
Hi,
second.
Doc.
Yeah. Hi, Maze.
How are
Yeah, I'll
you?
yield to Doc.
Okay.
Thank you. Um, Look, I was listening to the conversation last night, which was kind of the dumbest conversation I've heard in this space. There's some monarchist who came up and he was suggesting that Jared Kushner could be the new leader of Israel. And I don't want to get into it, but my God, coming into that conversation cold, finding someone who's serious about that is, could not believe it. I'll just leave that part there. But look, this makes absolutely no sense. You cannot conclude that Trump is serious about invading the island. Okay, number one, the ship was in Japan, and they announced this attack when the ship was in Japan. This is not part of a thought out plan. No war plan here that's evident. You have Pete Hegseth yesterday, video coming out, where he wants to bring on Armageddon, Armageddon, literally. He's talking about rebuilding the third temple. It's insane that he is our quote unquote secretary of war. This is so absurd. As Inevitable is pointing out, that ship's not going to get anywhere near its potential target. And does it make any sense whatsoever that Trump and Hegseth would announce its target? Why give them warning from an ocean away that this one battle group is coming? And it's as powerful as it is. Now, I used to live, Andrew might understand this, I used to live in Carlsbad, California, which was a city just south of where Camp Pendleton is, Oceanside. We used to see these things practicing coming on shore, onto the beach, like you said, during, like in the Private Ryan movie. And they're going to be sitting ducks. These things, they're, what do you call it? They float on the air. Help me out here, Andrew. These landers, they're hovercraft. There it is. They're slow, they're large, they're carrying heavy vehicles, they're carrying tanks, and they're carrying personnel.
The LPDs there, Doc?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
LCUs.
Yeah, I don't know the abbreviations, but the hovercraft that come on. I mean, there's a freeway that runs the main freeway that runs between now freeway, toll road, whatever. There's no lights on it, right? So between San Diego and Los Angeles, and been on it 1,000 times. And many, many times have seen these the Marines, the Camp Pendleton. It's the largest Marine base, maybe in America, but certainly on the West Coast. They project power all across the Pacific Ocean, and that's why this boat, which originally was home ported in San Diego, was in Japan. So this makes no sense because Iran has proven that they've been able to pinpoint target specific assets from as far. I don't know how far is Tel Aviv from Tehran. I have no idea, but it's not as far as one of these islands is, whether it's inside the Strait of Hormuz or outside the Strait of Hormuz. The moment they try and land, they don't have a protected position. They're out in the open if they land there. Trump is, if this is serious, and I don't think it's serious for all the reasons I just mentioned, it makes no sense. It's beyond the pale. He's sending them to their death.
Thank you,
That's
Doc.
that's
Thank you.
what I have to say about it. That's his conversation is about, with my girlfriend and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to be with her in a couple more hours. And I won't be able to, talk. Honestly, I won't want to talk. But yeah, that's just my take on the MVP Marines.
Yeah, and we have to remember where this Tripoli came from too. It came from Japan, and everything. I assure you, every asset, every military asset that is in Japan, especially Okinawa, which I'm pretty sure has like the majority of MEUs that or naval assets that the U.S. has is probably in Okinawa. that's well monitored by China and other countries as well.
Well, so
Um,
it's Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton
hmm
going. I mean, that's where a lot of the Marines, at least military project power, those forces have always been in Camp Pendleton. So maybe
Yeah,
Right.
they
Doc.
moved. Did they move it to Japan to get it
No,
closer? I
no,
don't know. It doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
Doc.
no, they. Oh,
No, Doc. What he's talking about, Doc. What Neville's talking about is he's talking about our forward deployed forces. We have Okinawa as our Marine forward
No,
deployed.
I understand that, but from my just contextually, I was trying to relate to it because I know that ship used to be home ported in San Diego and it's been moved over to Japan at some
Yep.
point
Yeah.
recently. Yeah, and
The
I've heard
mhm.
nothing about any development at Camp Pendleton. Nothing.
Yeah,
It's like
Oh, I see what you're
okay.
saying. Yeah, I hear what Doc's saying.
Yeah, the vast majority of U.S. military facilities are in Okinawa, right? So that unit is there, and it was placed there. And at least the understanding from the People's Liberation Army is that it was placed there as an amphibious asset for um, basically strategic, decisive victory against China. It's there, and it's considered an anti-China encirclement strategy,
right.
um,
They
and it's
didn't have that
backed by immense
capability
power.
yeah, they don't have the marine landing abilities that they have to deal with Taiwan, which is why they were forward projected in Okinawa.
Right.
In the Middle East, they didn't have this at the Fifth Fleet because they never contemplated that they
Yes,
were going to be
you're
attacking by
seeing
land.
it.
Oh, I
Exactly.
saw
You
it.
are,
I saw it. And
yes.
like I said, I've been trying to get up here and to bash some heads, honestly, about this whole thing. Don't be scared about this, or just pray for the lives of the soldiers on the ships.
Amen, bro.
Yeah, it's power projection exactly. And it was, it's been lined up, and so from just this aspect, all of the information that other nations have on that particular unit and as well as its strategy, and its use case is given. Well, again, this is alleged, but it's hard to believe that Iran wouldn't have at least some idea of every element, right, of what it's used for. So from that viewpoint, the Tripoli's presence is explicitly designed to it's one for deterrence, right, but it's used as a conduit for further action. But that of course implies that there is quite a bit of naval assets that are basically in the background that can be employed and deployed at a moment's notice, if you will, to persist. So redirecting this to Karg Island in the Strait of Hormuz is kind of like I mean, well, it really is like pivot hypocrisy because it shifts resources in general for rebalancing, supposedly. Um,
Well, right.
but
What does
yes,
China and Russia do if they see the ship approaching? And this hypothetically is project that they could get close. They could get on the island. Right? You don't think that Iran has targeting data down to the yard in and around all of its border islands as well as their country. And we can't. This is ridiculous.
Thank
It's
you.
ridiculous. And China
That
and Russia and the other countries are not going to allow this to happen. They'll use whatever leverage they can to keep the attempt from happening.
exactly, Doc. And you're looking at this, Doc, as from a layman's perspective. Can you imagine how the military, the ones that are being truthful, feel?
Yeah, well, that makes me believe the report, and I don't know if it was ever confirmed. I'd be shocked if it could be confirmed that there was a mutiny or an attempted mutiny on one of these ships that were being ordered into the theater or had been in the theater. Yeah, I who was it? Your friend, the woman from Texas who came up yesterday and gave the perspective very powerfully. So of military families, and not just a military family now, but
Amanda,
who
yeah.
had generationally had been military families, and there's a tradition and honor, particularly in the South, of this kind of service to our country when it was honorable, right? When we
Yes,
could
sir.
justify from an ethical and moral standpoint that we were sending our boys to die in another war on the other side of the world.
Yes, sir.
This is not going to be so. It isn't. I had a conversation last night was a big night for me. I'll take a moment of personal privilege here because Khaleesi and Sully and I have been friends and have been on the spaces for years. I was with my girlfriend last night, and She's broken up with me 3 times and got back together with me 3 times. And I moved 4 houses away from her about 6 months ago. So we've been really close. Her sister, and my girlfriend's married, is always going to stay married for financial reasons. Her sister, excuse me, this is confusing. Her sister-in-law, her husband's sister, had dinner with me. And it was to judge whether or not I was good enough from my girl. And I passed with flying colors. So it was a great night for me. And this is why I've been away from the space so long. But
Did she ever find out about the letter?
no, I never told her.
Okay,
And
good, good.
no,
Because
no,
I don't, I'm not.
no, no.
Never
I'll tell you
mind.
something else because I know she'll never come up here. She'll never hear this. Because May's kind of went through this with me, the ups and downs of it with me. It's a dear friend. I called her husband after one of the breakups. I had her sister-in-law's number because she knew that we were going to France, and so if anything had happened to either one of us while we were out of the country, we had the numbers to get in touch with our families. And so at one point, I called her husband, and he told me, "You got Doc. You got." That's not what he said, but he used my real name. You got nothing to worry about. I don't want her back. She doesn't want me back, but we're together for our kids, right? They have wonderful relationships with their kids. They'll still do family dinners every once in a while. The money's all split. They don't, the divorce isn't going to change either one of their financial situations. And I had to come to grips with the fact that I'm in love with a woman who's going to be married. So I jumped over that and overcame it. And yeah, thanks for asking, guys. It's great. But look, this is the thing that's scary. This woman that we had dinner with, the sister-in-law, she's a liberal. She is a very, very successful Hollywood PR agent who's handled some of the biggest names in Hollywood. I mean, the biggest, like Cruise and those guys. And now she's in TikTok. She gets a lot of her her clients who have like 1 million followers on TikTok. We're describing the situation. She got to hear me, and she was, impressed, and because I can talk, as I'm clearly demonstrating right now. And she asked me about my political affiliations, and I got to give her, the 5-minute version of what I say in here in terms of and what I've learned in here, when I continue to learn in here about how scary the situation is for Americans, because I do think a false flag is coming. I do, because if you project out into the future that this Trump continues with trying to send forces, ground forces in the Middle East, they get hammered. We have our political media complex here still
Is it
strong, still able to deceive a large number of Americans who will never believe that we are the aggressors and we have no moral or ethical right to attack Islam, Iran, or be in the Middle East. And
the
I think they're
false
trying to
flag
gin those
thing?
people up. Yeah.
Did you hear Trump? So Trump gets on and like one of his I don't know, it wasn't really a speech, it was kind of one of those clips that the news reporters get in between. And he looked at the camera and he's like, "We see you. We know where you sleeper cells are." I'm just like, "Why are you not
And he
going to
said, I
arrest them?" He's
think,
like, "We're keeping an eye on you." And it's like,
yeah,
"Okay, so you know where they are, yet you
this,
haven't
that
gone
came
to
up.
arrest them."
Yeah, that came up. And then my girlfriend was saying, well, aren't they like coordinating with the Mexican drug gangs, and couldn't they just come? Because we both lived in San Diego, my girlfriend and I, at different times in our lives for a long time. I was there for 30 years. Could they come across the border from Mexico and attack us? And she asked about the drone things being in tanker trucks, and I said, look, this is fear mongering. They straight up tell you that they can't prove it. Trump, quote unquote, I think we know where the sleeper cells are. This is classic fear mongering. They'll never be held accountable for telling these lies. And to me, it's a precursor for another false flag event. And oh, by the way, where is that supposed to happen? Here in California. So I'm getting ready to bug out. I honestly am. My son is completely ready to bug out. I got undeveloped property up outside of Carmel, east of Carmel. And We're headed to the Caribbean, so we'll be out of town starting Thursday for 10 days. And her sister is headed to the Dominican Republic. These late, this is, fucking Beverly Hills. Everyone's got money, and except for me. Not like these guys have. And they're always traveling. And so I just hope I'm wrong about the fear anyway.
Yeah.
Check in,
Well,
Doc.
it's
Keep
great that
checking
you're
in.
having conversations with real people. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, just keep checking in, Doc. Keep checking in. Love you, Doc.
I appreciate that, guys. And so I'm gonna go walk my dog. I'm up with my coffee. The sun isn't risen yet here yet, but we just had daylight savings where we leap forward, and so it's 6:35 in the morning. Got my coffee in my hand. I'm looking outside. I think it's a nice day, so I'm gonna take the dog a walk. And I always disconnect when I walk, so I'm still be listening. But
I'm right about Doc, right? He pops in here 3 times a day. In the morning, before he has his coffee, checks in with us, has a bit of a chin wag. It's this little coffee shop place. After lunch, he wanders over, says hello, listens for a bit, has a bit of a chit chat, goes off, and then in the evening, he comes back. Pipe and slippers time in the evening. He stays for a bit longer, has a chit chat. Oh, nice.
well, if I wasn't so actively engaged with the relationship I've been building, in the new business we started, it's just that's very successful. I'm at the, I told her, this, I told her, this has been the happiest year of my life. In the midst of everything that I believe politically is falling down around and my feet, that it's a belief and support that I had in the concept of MAGA, of the people of America first, and Trump. And boy, howdy, did he fool me.
Doc and I used to do MAGA spaces together. It seems like another lifetime, doesn't it, Doc, when we used to big up Trump? Long, long, long
It's,
time ago.
yeah, well, we were kind of entering into the lives of each other's followers, and it was great. And I purposely came up into these spaces. I think I first heard Sully and Mario's space as a co-host, which was just a completely different Sully, because he had to moderate the co-host space. Agree, there's a deal that they're going to keep their personal opinions. And Khaleesi, I think you were a co-host more than once with, or at least a panelist, a regular panelist. And at least the co-hosts, they can't come out and support, and advocate, except in the most meaningless way, their particular political positions. So Sully was, he's trying to find the both sides of it and trying to, to run down the middle of the issue and moderated as best they could. But it was always, a shit show. It's a conflict. It's a battle space. Now this is completely different. So much more advanced, so much more productive, so much more valuable. I would imagine on a personal level to both Khaleesi, to Beatrice. I'm never going to get over that. I'm just going to call you Khaleesi. Okay, people don't know. I don't care. Um, and Sully. So you guys have an international reach now, an audience that's growing. And it's horrible that it's growing on the back of this potential tragedy, what really has been a tragedy so far. But um, this is an important space. And I would just wish it was much, much larger, because um, I think we are the voice of reason here. And we represent a multipolar society in this space. And for everyone that listens here on um, TikTok. Good guy. No, it's just a little more point of humanity. So, um, my girlfriend has a daughter, is 25. This is one of the most beautiful women that I've ever seen. It's Italian and Polish. My girlfriend's Polish, and her husband's Italian. And the sister, I'll call her Lisa. That's not a real name, to make it easier. It's telling my girlfriend about an incident between her, her daughter and her daughter's best friend. who both these ladies know very, very well because the daughter's friend has been around for 20 years. And they got tickets to Lady Gaga 3 nights in a row. And because of the Hollywood connections of both my girlfriend and the aunt, she got to the position where she could be getting autographs signed before the concert. And as Gaga was coming down this line of, you know, uh, fans who wanted something signed, my girlfriend's daughter got something signed and then allegedly touched Gaga on the arm. Gaga got offended and passed over the girl's, the daughter's friend who was there. The daughter's friend has 1 million followers on TikTok, and she called out her best friend. It's her fault that I didn't get signed by Gaga, and the whole that from that point in the conversation, the dinner, we didn't talk about anything else. So to me, it still cracks me up that Sully's on TikTok. But that's the, what do they call it? Beta alpha or beta, what, listeners? You guys don't know. What do you, Gen alpha, Gen beta? Anyway, I just saw it right in
I
front
did.
of me.
We know, we know who you're talking about.
Anyway, I'm going to go walk. Yeah, I pop in. Probably pop in sometime this afternoon and maybe sometime this evening. But I don't have slippers or a lounge chair. Cool.
Well, thanks for coming, Doc. Much love to you, and we'll catch you a little bit later. I guess we'll take this as an opportunity to reset the space and have everyone to please share. It's 9:41 a.m. here on the East Coast. You know, we're going over the news about Iran 24/7 around the clock. It's slowed up a little bit the past couple of hours. I've read everything I've seen so far, but as it comes, we will continue to break it for you guys. I did announce the senior Zionist rabbi, right? Basically he was killed by an Iranian missile. He was the Ashkenazi chief rabbi of Israel and the president of the Chief Rabbinate Council. That was last night that happened. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, we will continue with the news as it comes. And if you guys have any questions and you're not coming on stage, put it in the comments and then tag me and I will keep looking for it. And those of you on YouTube, if you have any questions or anything that you want us to bring up, then by all means, I have my eye on you guys too in the chat. I love this chat. They're so funny. Like I literally they crack me up. It's like I don't know. I love you guys. All right. So if you have anything, let me know in there as well. But yeah, I guess we can get back to kind of the just opinions around all the stuff that's going on. Go ahead.
Did you have
Yeah, I just
Mr.
wanted a quick.
Kaplan finish? Mr. Cap. Oh, there he is. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mr.
oh yeah,
Kaplan.
Mr. Kaplan. That's right. Thank you. See, great memory, Andrew. Go ahead, Mr. Kaplan. What'd you have?
Yeah, for Andrew, um, I've been. I don't want to repeat something I've already said, but I've been watching a lot of the live feeds from Tel Aviv, etc., and it seems like the warning times for their sirens is drastically delayed, if it's even working at all. Like their air defenses um, are not good, and it seems like with that degradation, the U.S. really isn't in a position to be moving chess pieces like they're talking about. Like, what are they? I know it doesn't make sense. We can agree it doesn't make sense. Like, sometimes people, when they get to a certain level, they start to believe their own BS. Like, is that what what is it, like the Dunning-Kruger effect? Like, do they think that everything's going fine?
Yes, sir, they do. Because as Ryan Dawson has been in here before, and he made a very awesome, prophetic, scary quote. Hitler, in the end game, where he was moving invisible divisions that weren't there across the war planning board. His generals were like doing the WTH, what the hell? And I won't go into the depths of Stalingrad when he mauled down the Battle of Stalingrad when he destroyed millions of German soldiers. But we're looking at an inexplicable, unbelievable, gut wrenching story unfolding before us that will go down in history as one of the most greatest disasters of the final death throes of an empire. And I'm an American. I love my country. I serve my country, and I'm saying it's ripping me up. And many who see it are. Yeah, it's unbelievable, but we're seeing it. It's insane.
Andrew, you know what I think about a lot is I try to look at things from every way that I can. And I'm like, and this is something I've been thinking about for like the last day or so. Like, what if we're wrong? You know, like what if we're the ones that are wrong? Maybe things are going okay and we're just misreading what's actually going on, you know? That's something
I
that,
Oh, yeah, I pray so. I pray that I can come on here and I will eat crow. I will say I was wrong. I was an idiot. I'm so wrong. I'll never. Oh, I
Wrong about
pray.
what though? I guess
Well,
what we
wrong.
should, yeah.
Oh, if you look at the other side, Maze, the other side, and I've had two of my former professional retired naval, one Navy and a retired Marine, have come back and pushed on me privately and saying, "Come on, what are you talking about? We've got this. We've got this." It's the mango trust the plan. And if we're wrong and they're right, hey, wow, was I ever an idiot? I hope I can do that, but I certainly don't see it.
and to what Andrew
Yeah.
just said, Maze, I know that you've been super busy. You've been hosting and co-hosting but like I've spent some time popping into, other spaces. And you might, Maze, generally I'm a very serious person, so I'm not being hyperbolic. The the sentiment over there is Iran has been obliterated. It's decimated. Like they think that Iran has been sent back to the Stone Age, legitimately.
But
Yeah.
who
Yep.
thinks that? Or what do you, what, like, I guess I don't know what spaces you're going in, but usually the
It,
spaces that I see you in, that's not the information that's shared. Do you go into the Zio spaces? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I creep when I'm over there. I'm in the tunnels.
Oh, of course they're going to push that shit. That's the same thing that Trump is pushing. They're going to push the same thing that Trump is pushing on this, right?
and also, Maze, this is very important to hear, dear heart. Who is also pushing this are the Christian evangelical news sites like like Christian Broadcast Network, TBN, the other one, what's it called? But they're pushing it also on all the other sites that promote Christian evangelical Zionism.
So here's the thing. I think that what's going to be interesting is to see how this plays out, but that is going to, not to say that there's much credibility left to tarnish, but if anything, there's going to be evidence of that not being true at some point, right?
Exactly.
So we did have some questions that were asked. I wanted to read them from the chat. This is from the YouTube chat. And if you guys have FOMO, okay, and you're missing out and you want to know what's going on, it's in the nest. So pop in there and have a chit chat with us. Uh-oh, my audio is cracking. My bad, guys. I just wanted to read. Uh-oh, you guys are chatting so much. I got to scroll up like 10 pages. Hold on, hold on. Here it is. So somebody asked what happened to Netanyahu. Was he like, did we get any more information on that? And then also, who's calling the shots in America? And the last question, which I think is very interesting, is what is the continuity of government in Israel? And so I looked that up. I took the liberty of looking that up while we were chit chatting. So I guess the first question is that it has not been confirmed or denied, really. I mean, I guess there's, when I say denied, meaning by any official capacity, I haven't seen that yet. Where I guess the only thing that people debunked or tried to debunk it was whether or not that video was AI. But the larger allegation has been pretty much left unanswered. I know that there was lots of different things kind of floating around, so I don't want to recap on them um, unless they, unless we hear more on them. But I would say that there is enough circumstantial evidence to really justify people's questions around it. Okay. But with that being said, if something did happen to him, and let's see. Oh, yeah. So the acting prime minister, if something happened to him, the designated deputy acting prime minister automatically assumes duties temporarily. Historically, examples include Ehud Olmert replacing Ariel Sharon when Sharon had a stroke. Okay, number two, the government continues. The cabinet remains in power and ministers continue operating normally. Israel's system is collective cabinet governance. So the state doesn't grind to a halt if one leader disappears. Now, there's a step three, which is a 100-day rule. If the PM permanently is unable to serve, then the acting PM runs the government. A new prime minister must be approved by the Knesset, which is the same as the parliament up here. And then if multiple leaders are targeted, then Israel actually plans for this because of the constant security threats. Because maybe how about because of the constant tyranny that that they constantly cause. But it says that there's three layers of redundancy: political leadership, where there's the acting prime minister, the cabinet ministers, and then the Knesset leadership. And then there's military leadership, and the military has its own independent command structure, so which is the IDF, and operational command falls to the chief of staff. So anyway, it's going to be the same MFers basically. Here's the short answer. It's going to be the same crazy genocidal MFers that are doing the same thing. That's kind of in a nutshell for you. And then there was something else that I just saw come through in the news. One second. Here it goes. Okay. Oh, this one says big. Okay. Before the war, the Pentagon had warned Trump of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. So we already knew this. The Trump told the U.S. military that Iran would back down and the U.S. military would be able to reopen the strait. That didn't age well. Now this is breaking. Iranian missile shrapnel falls in Eilat, Israel. At least one person is seriously injured. Now, two buildings in Eilat and two others in the Jerusalem area were damaged following the latest Iranian bombing. And okay, we got some Trump stuff. Ready? This is Trump statement 7 minutes ago. Yet again, an intentionally misleading headline by the fake news media about the 5 tanker planes that were supposedly struck down at an airport in Saudi Arabia and of no further use. In actuality, the base was hit a few days ago, but the planes were not struck or destroyed. 4 of the 5 had virtually no damage and are already back in service. One had slightly more damage, but will be in the air shortly. None were destroyed or closed to that, as the fake news had said in the headlines. New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and other low-life papers and media actually want to see us lose the war. Their terrible reporting is the exact opposite of the actual facts. They are truly sick and demented people that have no idea of the damage they cause the United States of America. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, a cluster of ammunition impact on Iliad from one of these missiles, the Kura Mashar Gadar missile. I don't know why they got to name it all these fancy schmancy names, but anyway, that's about it for breaking.